So, the science of love, how love heals. We have all heard the concept that love heals, and we tend to think that it's because it makes us feel good emotionally. But what I'd like to share in this presentation is really that love heals not just emotionally, but more literally, it switches us into a biological state. So it's changing the electrical state of the body, and that has a unique signature. And in those moments when we're really feeling that vibration of love, the body is doing something very meaningful and very specific. And we also tend to assume that love is just a temporary emotion, right? That we feel towards certain people or when we're having a sweet moment in a relationship. But the feeling of love, that warmth, that feeling of expansion, that feeling of bliss isn't just nice, but it's a real physiological state with a bioelectric signature. And to understand that, we have to understand what kind of universe we live in. Modern physics is showing us that space is not empty. This seemingly empty space is actually filled with enormous amounts of energy, and it's information rich. That energy is what's creating the material world. All the material objects you see, including the physical body, is emerging out of this field. So our bodies are not separate from the field, they're made out of it, which means our body's not powered only by food and chemistry. It's actually powered by its relationship to the field. So health isn't just about what we put in the body, it's about how connected we are to its source. So these are the things that our cells require. They need voltage, and you've heard of me speak about this before, but that's really when you hear people talk about pH in the body. pH is voltage in a liquid. So pH refers to the amount of potential hydrogen ions in a liquid, and hydrogen has a positive charge. So it's the movement of electricity in our body. So polarity, electrical flow, nutrients, as well as coherence. And coherence is really speaking about order and structure within the physical body. We have to have a lot of internal um, order in order to have health. So when we are in coherence, it's really also referring to our access to the field. So the field is always present, it's high energy, and whether we're in coherence or not with it is what's going to determine the degree of health that we have. So in physics, coherence refers to, how connected you are to the source of energy. So when we're in coherence with the field, that energy is allowed to propagate up through our biology. And when we're in decoherence, that energy transfer is impeded. So disease is a loss of coherence, or disease is decoherence. And what causes that is stress, trauma, fear. Basically, all these are chronic contracted states, and they disrupt the electrical harmony because that's what our cells use to communicate with each other. It lowers the voltage in our cells, so our energy, our battery drops, okay, in our cells. And you know what happens to your phone when you've lost charge in your cells, in the battery cells, right? It doesn't work. Well, that's what happens to our cells. And that blocks its access to the field. So we don't get the energy or the information from the field. Okay, so the field has information about what we are supposed to be, what the physical form is supposed to look like and feel like. So the field, that's why Einstein said the sole governing agency of the particle is the field. The field is what's determining how the physical body appears. So when we have no awareness of the field, what's going to happen to the physical body? It's not going to be very vital. Over time, it will lose its vitality. Then if we're in a lot of contracted states, we're definitely going to lose vitality. I mean, when have you ever been ecstatically happy and felt really good when you were sick? Never, right? When the body feels sick, you feel lousy mentally, emotionally, and physically. So when we're constantly living in that survival mode, then we're cutting ourselves off from that power supply. Okay. And so these are signs of chronic stress. And I put them up here because most people don't realize that they're stressed because they're just constantly in that state. So they think it's normal. They think it's part of life. Like this is how you're supposed to feel. Only because we haven't understood that this field is here and that it is the source of our vitality. So all of these symptoms, most people feel them, right? And they just think it's part of life, it's normal. But the reason we feel it is we haven't understood that we live in this field of energy and it is our source. And what you are learning in this class is how to shift your attention to understand that you are the field, expressing as the physical body. And as you make that shift, then you will because you're identifying as the field, you will influence the field more, and that will express as vitality in the physical body. So when we're in that survival mode, we're increasing internal interference inside the body. So we're cutting ourselves off from that energy supply. Okay, it's not getting through because we're in this contracted state. So when we lose coherence, we lose voltage. And because our cells need voltage in order to operate, basically we lose coherence, voltage drops. So the cells can't hold on to oxygen, so they start to die. They can't do work. They can't generate ATP, which is the energy currency within the body. Inflammation rises, and we're basically accelerating the aging process. So disease is really the body aging faster than necessary. Okay, so when coherence collapses, voltage collapses, and when voltage collapses, the body literally can't do the work of healing. So the real question becomes, where does the body get voltage? Exercise, yes. Food, yes. Sunlight, yes. Grounding, so going out, sitting on the ground, walking barefoot on the ground, all of those, yes. Even animals and pets, because animals, when they're running around, if you have an active animal, okay, they're running around outside, they're generating a lot of energy from the ground, from being on the ground, and then they come and they sit near you and they transfer that energy to you. So, yes, on all of those things, but the primary limiting factor is the field. The body draws energy from the field, and the body is made out of that field. The field is energy dense, and the voltage that we get from it, it's not like we're creating the voltage. It's that we are coupling to the voltage. We're allowing it to transfer from the field into us. And coherence determines how much of that we can access. So what allows the body to actually couple to the field? What would you guys answer to this?
Focusing on the heart.
Mm, yep.
Intention,
Intention.
attention,
Yep. Very
and
good.
heart focus.
So
Yes.
yeah, the strongest coupling interface would be the heart. But just you like relaxing into the field, relaxing every single part of your body into the field is also doing it too. Okay, but the strongest coupling interface is here in the heart because that is where the spark of creation, the field contains the spark of you. And that spark is what carries the information of you, your ideal blueprint, your optimal blueprint, you at your prime. Okay. So that information is right there in the heart. So it's basically the central coordinating hub of you as your physical form. And so when we are in coherence with that, when we're allowing that energy to expand out of us, that's organizing and propagating system wide. So this is why love and safety are felt mostly in the chest, right? When you love someone, you really feel it in the chest. That's that feeling radiating out. So love is not just an emotion. It's a state. It's a physiological state where your individual field is in resonance with the unified field. And that's the feeling of love. It's the alignment of our consciousness with itself, right? The source of us as a seeming individual is right here. And when we bring our awareness there, we're recognizing ourself. So so a lot of people will bring their attention to the heart and it'll feel nice. But when you know that that is the source of you, when that registers, when you bring your awareness here and you realize what the significance of this space, that it's where the mind of the universe is creating you as a physical body, a seeming individual, then it becomes even more powerful. And what happens is you dissolve these barriers, mental, emotional, and physical barriers. You literally feel the body relaxing. You feel your emotions quieting and calming, and the mental noise is gone. So basically, what's happening there is that when you're connecting to that space, you're allowing that energy to ripple out through, and that is your natural state, not your normal, maybe, because we're not aware of it on a daily basis, right? We forget throughout the day. And so when we're not aware of it, we're shifted from that state. And so then we're not in coherence. So what I've noticed for me is that I start really I feel the energies. I mean, it's just getting more intense and more intense and more intense every single day. And so what that does then is it helps me stay aware of it. And I can really feel when I'm locked in. It really is a like a phase shift, a phase lock, you know? And then I can feel that energy just go through me. So I hope when I say these things, it inspires you to really pay attention more to that.
Yes.
Okay, so when love is experienced in this way, the entire system shifts into a regenerative mode because you just feel this stream of energy just radiating through you. And now when you know that that energy carries the information of you, it makes it more impactful. You know, what we feel as love, that warmth, what's happening is the electrical patterns are organizing throughout the system. So all the cells are beginning to communicate better with each other. That expansive feeling is the field around your body smoothing and widening. You start to expand into space. So you no longer feel like contracted anymore. Okay? You start expanding. And the blissfulness is the noise dissolving. So now the signal from the field is strengthening. That's what bliss feels like. That's how you know you're connected. It feels blissful. And that degree of bliss will change over time. You can get it so that, I mean, it can feel like I did that night as like white light, or it can feel like it's total spaciousness where you feel weightless. Or you can just feel it like as the stream of blissful energy flowing out of you. Okay, so if I recognize this state, how do I stay there? That's the problem, right? we all experience it when we close our eyes for a little while, but then remembering it throughout the day, it gets more challenging. And that's where the pro tip of love the feeling of love, right? So by paying attention to it and loving that feeling, it starts to amplify, right? And that amplification, when you start to feel it, that keeps your attention on it and you start to stay there longer, right? So this is happening because coherence feeds itself. So when we are aware of it and we're in coherence with it, we're feeling that bliss, and then we appreciate it, it starts to expand. And when it expands, that's more energy flowing, which raises your voltage, which then stabilizes the state. So you think of your attention as the pebble that you're throwing in the heart, which is the pond. And then when you appreciate it, you're creating bigger waves. So these are the things that need to happen in order for us to create resonance with the field. The more we reduce the mental noise, the more we reduce the chronic resistance, the more the nervous system relaxes. And we stop that compulsive thinking. And we become receptive to the field. When we start really doing this, and that's why this changes over time, your degree of coherence will change over time and even change daily, because these things have to happen in order to maximize that coherence. Okay, so some days might be better than others because maybe some days might have been more stressful. So there's more mental noise, there's more contraction. Having this understanding hopefully empowers you to understand what's happening. On some days, it's going to be more challenging. And just to give yourself a break, just go, oh, I understand why. I'm more contracted because I had a stressful day today. Right? So so basically resonance forms when we are in resonance with the field. So it's like two tuning forks, right? One has you you strike one and it starts vibrating, and then if it's in resonance, if the other one has the same natural frequency as that, it will start vibrating too. So then there's energy transfer between those two tuning forks, right? So when we relax and all these things happen, then that starts to allow us to kind of resonate with the same frequency as the field. Then coherence, which is the information and energy transfer, spreads throughout us, voltage rises, and then we heal and regenerate. Now, when you're constantly aware of this, right, when you on a daily basis, on a moment to moment basis, when you're constantly aware of the field, you know what basically means, which means, you know, you might be talking to someone and lose awareness of the field. That's okay, right? But you're aware of who you really are as the field. Over time, you start to develop that more and more on a daily basis. You start to recognize that you are the field. You're not the physical body. The physical body is just an expression of this field. So when you come from that understanding, you're going to be in a constant flow of regenerative energy. And so what's happening biologically, what love is doing biologically, the vibration of love is reducing your stress, your fight or flight mode, increasing your parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and repair mode. The heart field becomes coherent, right? Water becomes structured in the body. That allows for more super radiance in the microtubules. Mitochondria emit more light. Our polarity is restored, and we are reconnecting to that blueprint. that ideal, pristine blueprint that's right there in the heart. So a lot of people don't realize that love isn't coming from outside of you, right? So most, or we probably just don't really think of this. When we're in love, we think it's the other person that's generating that love. But really, they're simply the reason you softened your boundaries long enough to allow the love that's already within you to rise. Normally, we don't, we're not, because we're not aware of who we are as the field, we don't allow that energy to expand out of us because we're stressed, because we haven't understood that the field is us. We haven't even understood the field that it's here. Because we experience empty space, we haven't been paying attention to it. This knowledge hasn't been around for thousands of years. And so that causes us to contract. We feel stressed. So we're not in coherence with the field. And when we're in relationship with someone, we think that they're the reason we're feeling this love, but they're not. They're just the reason we softened our boundaries and allowed that love to flow through. So you've all heard my story about what happened to me, but what that was when I had that Kundalini rising experience or instantaneous healing is deep coherence with the field, perfect alignment with the field. And therefore, everything felt like light. And so, my whole, basically, this whole presentation and everything I've studied since that night was trying to understand that event in a grounded way. So,
I'd
and
like
this
to
is
ask
when,
the question, why did you
mhm.
say decoherence?
Yeah.
Where?
Just in the slide before this one, uh, when you had this, go forward. When you had your, no, that's backwards to me.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go. Yes,
did I
you
say
said
decoherence?
yes.
Oh, no, coherence.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, I might have said deep coherence.
Oh, deep.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that would be it. Yeah.
I might have said deep coherence. Yeah. So, and what I was doing that night was nothing, right? Like I was happy. We just got back from Montana for Christmas. Um, my boyfriend had decided to, he was leaving. He was supposed to leave. We were literally going to like pass each other on the highway because when we were arriving, my daughter and I were arriving back home. He was going to visit his dad, and we were literally supposed to be like on the freeway at the same time, him going to the airport and me coming home. But he decided to stay. He surprised us and picked us up at the airport and said he wasn't going. And so I was really happy about that. And then it was just a quiet evening. We were, I was going to settle in with my daughter and lay down. So I was just walking, I grabbed my book and I was walking through the house and really relaxed. And then boom, started to feel spacious and I was like, what is going on? Saw the room in lights. So all of that, me feeling spacious and expanded and like I was the space, I was the field. That's coherence. And then I started to feel this like expansion up but I never felt it before. So I was like, I'm leaving my body. I thought I was leaving my body, that I was like, it was like I was coming outside. I was waking up from a dream because I started to see the material room dissolve, just like a dream dissolves. And then a little while later, that's when just this energy just, right? And it's interesting that it came right out of here, right? That's how I described it. It came right out of here, and then everything felt like this. When I saw this image, this was like the perfect image to describe how it felt. And when you feel like that, you're like uncontained joy. Like I was swinging my arms around, right? Like pure bliss. So there's different degrees of this coherence, right? I would say that was maximum coherence because I can't imagine feeling better than a perfect light being. but you can just feel like right now on a daily basis, what I feel is just bliss, this blissful energy radiating out. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that image on a daily basis. Okay, so the quote from the Life and Teachings of the Masters: Spirit is primary, vibrating, originating power, an ever potent spring of perpetual and original life right within yourself. So when you understand the physics of this, when you understand resonance, coherence, and voltage, this no longer is poetic. It becomes real, it becomes literal. And most people either never touch this state or they touch it accidentally, like I did, right? But how do you stabilize it? And that's why understanding this mechanism, what I've presented to you today about what coherence is, what resonance is, what coherence is, how bringing your awareness there, paying attention to it, which lets it amplify and spread, is very important to being able to stabilize that state. So love heals because love is a felt experience of coherence with the field. Coherence is what supplies the biological voltage, and that's what heals. So love organizes your biology into a high voltage, coherent field state that restores the blueprint of your body. I dare you guys to just love the feeling of love as much as you can. And so now, many traditions have talked about the fountain of youth or these perpetual spring. And that's what happens is youthfulness returns when we reconnect to the source, our source of energy.
Very good.
Very, very good.
Aren't those graphics good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you induced a state of trance when you gave that. I mean, I'm sitting here like the cells in my body are oxygenated and I'm totally immersed in this feeling of love while you're doing this. And that image helped. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Good.
I applaud you. The presentation was really well done, and it just reemphasizes all that I've been learning over this time.
Yep.